right. Hello, everybody in Facebook land and YouTube land. I haven't been on mostly Mondays with Megs. It's been sometimes Mondays with Megs. And this is kind of how I work, you know? So I wanted to resurrect the podcast for right at this moment to highlight a very special guest, a special friend of mine, and I recently had a fabulous experience with, and I want everybody to know about her. So my special guest is Marinna Siri, and I want to actually begin with a little bit of history. Because I think it's really relevant to success. Everybody thinks success is this elusive thing, but it's really very, very simple, and you really demonstrated that from the very beginning. I just remember we were in a car. We were both taking some Hendrix courses. I had was apprenticing. You were starting your apprenticeship with Gay and Katie Hendrix. And I was driving along and I saw you in the back seat. You were talking about a story as a little girl when you just like talked to God. And I was watching you and I was like, oh my gosh, you you can do that. And then I was like, and I could see it was so clear. It was just like, little Marinna. Hi, I'd like to know about this. Like it was so clear and so beautiful. And I asked you, I said, is that something you could do for other people? And you said, well, I don't know. Let's see. And so you said, can I try it with you guys? And you did. And you did.
I
And
did.
so then
It actually freaked the pants off me, to be quite honest. It freaked the pants off me. And I don't know that you remember this piece, but it took me a good 2 to 3 hours to get up the courage to actually do something for someone else, to do a reading, to connect with their guides and give them a message. So it took me about 3 hours. And then I'm like, okay, Megan, I'll try it.
yeah, I didn't remember that it took that long, but we had a long drive. So,
We did.
you had some time to process. That's the good
Yeah.
news. And then you did, and it was wonderful. And I was like, hey, because the Hendrix is all about like offering your genius, expressing your genius. It's a space where genius is welcome. And so it was one of your first trainings, if not your first training. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was the second or third, something like that.
Yeah. And so I said, hey, I said, I want to double,
Challenge you.
I want to challenge you. And now I call it Double Dragon Dare,
Nice.
right?
I love it.
To offer your readings, your spirit readings with the group. And you
And you
did.
asked me to charge for it.
Well, wait a minute though. I didn't,
Oh,
not
okay.
at first. Do you remember why I asked you to charge for it?
Oh, was it midway or something?
You did an offer and you were so busy you didn't have any free time. And
Oh,
like you
I
didn't
know I
have
got
like you were
booked.
working lunches, you were working breaks, you were working, right? And so I was like, okay, time to charge.
Time
And
to
that's
charge, Marinna.
that's it's true in the coaching industry. Like people always try to like pop off with these big fees from the very beginning. It's like, look, you don't really know if you can offer that kind of value yet. But when you're so busy, you don't have time for you. It's time to raise your rates, right? It's
Yeah.
time to say, hey, I need a little space here. And I just thought that would be a nice little push. So I said, now let them know you're no longer offering them for free. And what would you like to charge for them? And you did.
I did.
What
I
happened when
did.
you did?
Oh my goodness. I still had a ton of people, only now I was getting paid for it, which felt like, holy cow. And it was much easier than I anticipated it to be. Much
Right.
easier to do work with other people than it was to work with myself.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Beautiful.
And
So
then I ended up paying for almost my entire Hendrix training with the readings that I did at Hendrix training.
yeah, that's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
called getting paid to learn. And
Yeah.
that's a beautiful thing when you can find a way to pay yourself to learn. I also have been playing with that quite a bit in my life, and it's really beautiful. Um, Also, if I recall, you like quit your day job after that, and
I
you went,
did. I did. Sometimes I think my courage is bigger than my know-how. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I came home and I put my 2 weeks notice in at the job I was working, And
Yeah.
they said, well, just go home then. And I went, oh shit. But I did. And I was able to launch my business and I started doing readings. And the more I did, the more I did.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I love that story so much because it's very commensurate. I had a student at the end of a 3-day training in Dallas with 5 minutes to go in the class say, Megan, what's the secret to your success? What is it? Why? How have you been able to do what you've done? And I'm like, okay, you give me 5 minutes for that, which I was actually really grateful because my whole being just distilled. And I was like, I keep saying yes to things
Mm,
that stretch me and that I don't think I can do. Over and over and
mm.
over again, I say yes to things I don't think I can do. And that's what I saw you do, that whole boom, boom, boom. You just kept saying yes and you just keep saying yes, and here you go. And I really believe that there's people are out there trying to really complicate success. It's like when
Mm.
you have a sense of something that lights you up, you say yes to everything that can grow it, that any kind of risk with it, and you just keep saying yes. And and here we are having this conversation, which it was my turn to say yes because I would say I have been really full bore in the conversation of what my genius is and developing it, growing it for well since my time with the Hendricks, and I learned about the genius work from Gay Hendricks, and then I wrote a book, and then I just it was my thing because I actually believe that genius is the most important thing we could focus on because it
Mm.
optimizes everything else. It brings everything. It's not about how much you can produce. It's
Right.
really about who you are as a being at soul level, because that grows everything. And so
Mhm.
when I heard about you doing these readings, I'm like, I want in because we're just getting started. I'm probably been directly focusing on my genius for 20 years. And I feel like I'm just touching the surface of because it's infinite, right? So I was
Yeah,
like,
because
get a
we're
chance,
infinite. Because
huh?
we're infinite, right?
Yes.
Our souls are infinite, and we have so much that we haven't seen yet about ourselves.
Hmm.
So yeah, how can we ever explore it all in one little lifetime, in one little body?
We cannot do, we cannot do. So, and interestingly enough, when I signed up for the soul frequency reading, I had a sense, right? Like we talked about
Mhm.
that before, but the way that it came down in the reading and the nuances really, really allowed me to implement in a real practical way right away. A lot of spiritual readings are not practical. They're like, oh, you come from the planet Starlight in the 49th dimension. And it's like, okay, so how does that help me? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so this is so practical. So tell me about how soul frequency came about.
Soul frequency readings came about by actually watching you, Megan. So when I went to
Oh,
sign,
good.
yeah, when I went to sign up for this training that I'm currently taking with you, you said something to me. And one of the things that I do with my intuition is I watch really closely the different words that jump out, or the different pieces that jump out at me.
Mm,
That ring is like ding ding ding, pay attention, pay attention. And you said something to me and you said, I amplify. I amplify whatever your intention is for the course. And the word amplify just really jumped out at me. In fact, that was one of the pieces that helped me enroll into your course.
mm,
And so then I think it was like maybe after the first or second training, one of the gals in our small group was saying, Megan amplifies. What's my thing like that? What's
mm,
my gift, right? Because we're all gifted. So, what's my gift like Megan's amplifying? And we had been talking about my intuition and my readings that I've done all these years. And one of the gals piped up and she's like, Marinna, would you check in and see what our gift is that's like Megan's?
mm,
And I'm like, sure, let's do it. And so I did it, and it was really super fun. All these years I've been doing readings, I've been actually looking at people's souls and having the desire to be able to express to the people how magnificent and amazing our souls are, right? And
mm,
while I think it's probably going to be impossible to put words to the magnitude of our soul, what I saw in you was the frequency that you are imbuing on planet Earth. And that is the you magnify, or you amplify, or you you really call forth a person's greatness to the
Mhm.
forefront for them. And you've
Mhm.
done this with me, so I was able to see it really clearly in you. And
Mhm.
so then I was able to go, oh, what's that? And then I through you, through your soul, I was able to go, what's mine? What's this other gal's? What's this other person's? Right. And I started seeing it as a frequency that our soul brings to the collective consciousness of
Mhm.
this planet, as
Mhm.
well as anybody that's walking around them, anybody in their space, in their energy, anybody in relationship with them. They're naturally imbuing. You've done this naturally for your entire life, Megan. But
Mhm.
when you became aware that you were doing it, you magnified your own frequency.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah. And it's really, I think it's through awareness that we can grow our gifts. Now, there's a lot of schools
Mhm.
of thought that say they're either over defining, okay, my gift is teaching, like that's so narrow
Yeah,
because your unique expression, teaching is the vehicle. How are you, what kind of vehicle are you driving? How are you
right,
driving it? Like that's
right.
way more interesting and nuanced, right? And but then there's the other side where people like say they don't, you shouldn't name it at all, right? Because
Right.
that limits it. And what I find is that having awareness of the gift allows me to accelerate it. It
Mhm.
allows me to grow it. It allows me to develop because I can go, what's this? What's this? How does this work? Show me. And years ago, I took sort of a left turn, not a left turn, but I used Gay Hendricks' genius work as a platform because something new came through for me to teach around genius, which was that the original definition of the word genius was guiding spirit.
Mm.
And so I realized that, oh, like genius is a consciousness or a guiding frequency that is inside of me that can teach me about itself. So another word that used to be
Mm.
used for genius was muse. So I
I
was
love
like,
it.
oh, instead of like people like, oh, what's my genius? What's my genius? It's like, ask the muse. Like,
Yes.
and as things come forward, I go, oh, show me how this works. Show me more of this. And
Mhm.
that develops in that way, right? So when you get aware, and even though I know I told you I amplify, right? But
Yeah.
you use a different word for me. You used magnification. And I don't know
Mhm.
why, but it broadened the way that I could see it. And it also helped me understand why some people are really like with me, right? Like people are
Yeah.
either like, oh, tell me more, or they're like, get out of my world. Because what I magnify is either the gift or what's in the way of the gift. Whatever
Yeah.
is, whatever that person requires to see it's being magnified. That's not always fun for me or
That's
them. But it's just, I realized this a long time ago. I didn't understand it. Like I remember running a booth, and this is before I got trained in Rapid Eye, and I was exchanging my Rapid Eye sessions for running my practitioner's booth. And I noticed all day long, people are either rushing into the booth or running away from me. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. I did not
Oh,
know. I did not know. This would have been helpful. And the information about that allowed me to go, well, gosh, why don't I magnify my visibility? Why
mm,
don't I use it to magnify? And I've noticed myself just this last program that I did, the nervous system reset, is my top selling program to date of a paid program, right?
wow. Yeah.
And I can just feel I can feel that I'm getting more engagement. I'm like, it's an interesting thing what's happening just by going, hey, I want to use this for me. Now, that's a secret sauce because a lot of people they'll only use their gifts for others. And
Yeah.
it's sort of a thing that a lot of us sort of magic people have. It's like, oh, I can only use it for you. But it's here for us too. It's here to be utilized by us, for us. And
Mm,
like to have a sense on a deeper level, because I remember other training that we were involved in together was like the awakening group, the Rise Leadership group. And I remember like him saying, Gary Acevedo was saying, your soul is a message. But
mhm.
man, I could not get that message. I was like, am I that? But I do that, but I do that. Because it's not it's not words, it's frequency. And
It's
that's
frequency.
really full
Yes.
circle. What happened for me in the reading is like, no matter, I don't have to do anything. I just got to show up and that's happening. Like, that's so cool. And I can turn it up.
Yep.
I can broadband it a little bit. I can gentle it out a little bit. I can like ease it so it's not so intense for people. I don't have to shine it and I'm like, right?
Mhm.
And it gives me choice, right? It gives me choice, but
Yes.
also like I don't have to figure it out. Like I find so many people are so confused about purpose. I
Mhm.
remember I did a talk in a local, it was a big event locally, like Michael Beckwith and Byron Katie, and I had a breakout session on purpose. And I was like, who's going to show up at 8 a.m.? I thought I was going to get off easy. There's like 300 people, standing room only. I was like, huh. And I said, how, and then I said, how many people have been wondering about their purpose and confused about their purpose for more than 5 years?
Oh,
Keep
wow.
your
Yeah.
hands raised.
Mhm.
More than 10, more than
Mhm.
15, more than 20, more than 30. Like for the people who were older in the room, their hands were still up.
Yeah.
And I was
Wow.
like, oh my gosh, all
Wow.
these people like, what's my purpose?
What am I supposed to be doing?
But they're already it. It's
They're
already
already being
happening.
it, even when they're asleep. They are already being their purpose because, again,
Hmm.
it's a frequency. It is. It's
Hmm.
a frequency, and people are emitting it whether they know it or not.
Hmm.
And then the moment that they do know what it is, then they can consciously start using that tool to serve themselves, to serve other people, to serve the planet, and it betters everything.
Yes.
Yeah. In
Yes.
fact, that's one of the main questions I've been asked for almost 20 years now is what's my purpose? What's my purpose? What's my purpose? What's my purpose? So I'm super happy that this avenue came through, this way of sharing someone's purpose is coming through now for me, where I never had it before. This is like something new for me, and it's super exciting, and because I get to now speak to people's souls. I get to speak to their souls, to see their magnificence, to guide them, to support them, to really step into that and to know how to use it.
Mm. So, how Marinna's response to this is how you know this is her genius or one of her genius capacities because she's so excited and delighted. I see you like telling people like how beautiful it was, how awesome it was to see their soul. Like
Hmm.
it's really, really
Yes.
evident that this is one of your jams.
Yes. I got this morning to look at one of my son-in-law's souls.
Mm,
And we haven't always had the easiest relationship, he and I. Our personalities kind of clash, but we've also been working on that relationship too for the last, I don't know, 10 years or so. And I got to see his soul this morning. And what I saw was so precious and so beautiful to me. And I was able to express that to him in a way that brought tears to his eyes because he resonated. He was like, I'm seeing, I'm seeing, somebody's seeing me, right? Like really seeing me. And then
mhm,
he was able to ask some questions of how can I use this in my relationship? And how can I use this in my business? And how can I make money with this? And I was able to share with him how to actually use those pieces to bring
mhm.
that more success in his life from something he does so naturally. He wasn't even aware of it. He does it so naturally.
Yeah. And I really, it's so valuable for so many people to have that reflection, that
Yes.
witness, that, and it's not, I imagine that not very many people are surprised by what you say,
Nope.
right? It's like, oh, of course, that's a
Yeah.
knowing, it's who I am. But having it witnessed and reflected, I think, is one of the biggest missing experiences out there.
Mm,
And it's really the whole reason I created the Genius community years ago was to have, I called it the Genius Nest because it was a place for people to birth things and to be received and to be witnessed. Because there's something about that that allows us to integrate. I believe that for most people, in particular with their gifts, it's a huge missing experience. A lot of us were too esoteric or magical to be actually recognized by our parents who were in fight or flight, or maybe in my case my family was highly intellectual. My dad was a PhD of education, right? And it was like high level thinking and rationalization was what was honored, right? But here I
Yeah.
am, this little energy being, big hearted. My family didn't even hug each other when I was little.
Oh, wow.
I think I brought hugging in to the family system, you know?
Yay. Yeah.
But like some of my first mentors that saw me, that pointed things out to me that I hadn't seen in myself before. What? I'm that? You see that? Now, there's a place where we can get dependent on that, and
Yes.
that's not what I'm talking about. There's a place where we're seen and recognized that allows us to embody the energy bigger, better. And I think it's important for all of us to have that experience so that we can play with it, grow it, own it on our own too, right? Um,
Yes.
so tell me what is it that you're noticing in these readings
Mm.
that's either surprising or exciting you, or like what is it that you're seeing in these readings?
Mm. The first thing that's coming in is just once again how much more we all are than what we could ever possibly know. Like when I'm looking and feeling a person's soul, it is so much sometimes that I'm going, okay, give me a littler dose so that I can be able to put words to this because it is so much. Every single person I have looked at is so much in a really I want to say just a really beautiful, sacred, uh, powerful way. Everybody is so much. And then I get to see oftentimes how we have come down as these big, beautiful, amazing souls into families who don't know how to handle this. Like this is, and our parents did the same thing with their parents, and forever. It's been happening that all these great, big, beautiful souls keep coming down, and our parents don't know how to deal with this, and this is perfect. I think this is the thing. It's not like I didn't know this, but I think I've been a little bit surprised by this. Is that our survival mechanisms to survive our families have been the most perfect thing to come in for us, to really grow us, to be able to wield our magic, so to speak, to be able to give the frequency in a more conscious way. So I did a reading recently for a gal who didn't take on that survival mechanism. And she has had an extremely tough life as a result of
Mhm.
it. And I went, oh, thank you, survival mechanism, for coming in. So I see people do this specifically. Oh, let's see how I can say this. So they come down with these great big beautiful souls. Their family does what their family does, and then they actually go and they hide from that part of themselves for a while, and they try to
Mhm.
squelch that gift, that frequency, try to make it smaller so that they can still be their loving self and still receive love and give love and connect with people. And they're trying to make it smaller so that people will accept them. Okay,
Mhm.
and that's perfect because we don't know how to wield it in these bodies yet.
Mhm.
And then we grow and we learn and we learn and we learn and we learn, and then one day we can go, great, now I can wield this magic because I have the foundation and the know-how now to be able to wield it.
Mhm.
So yeah, we hide from ourselves in the exact way. How can I say this, Megan? Help me with the verbiage of this. It's like the gift that you are, it's almost like you hide in the exact opposite way. You put the exact opposite of you in the forefront and
Mhm.
pretend like that's you, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's not, until we can learn that how to live in a society and in these bodies being our magical selves.
Mhm.
It's so fascinating to me. So as an example for people, like I'm actually quite a very deep, powerful human being, and or a soul, a very deep, powerful soul, right? I can drop really, really into the depths of meditation. I can go into deep places. Well, the what I presented to my family and the world was more of this superficial, like everything's good, and a people pleaser, right? I was a
Mhm.
people pleaser, and that's the exact opposite of who I am.
Mhm.
Like I'm this loud voice and big energy, and I play this little teeny tiny mouse. And I was hiding behind that until I learned how to come out in a way that was safe enough for me to come out and then start wielding my magic.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes. In fact, what you're describing is really the whole context for my signature event, Live Your Magic.
Mm,
because where people have hidden their magic is in their wrongness,
yes.
their their
Yes.
issues, their whatever, right? And or like you say, the opposite of, right? And so, and it was purposeful because they weren't ready, the world wasn't ready. It's kind of the way I think about it is like a baby dragon learning how to play with its fire, right? It's like initially it might singe.
Yes, exactly.
Right? And so we're learning how to wield that, as you say. The way that I would say it
Yes.
in uh my coach Rich Lippman said this to me one day. He was like, Megan, only somebody as powerful as you could create such a grand illusion that they weren't powerful.
Yes. Oh, yes. I love that. That's so perfect. So
Mm-hmm.
perfect. And we all do this in our own special flavors in our own ways. And I think that has probably been the thing that surprised me the most
Mm-hmm.
was how much we hide from ourselves and how perfect that hiding is
Mm-hmm.
until we know better, until we know more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And there's a great quote from Emily Dickinson in a poem. It says, truth must dazzle gently or every man be blind. And
Mm,
I, we come into, we gentle ourselves into our power,
that's beautiful, Megan.
right? When we can be more, we do. And there's no rush. There's no, you should have been there by now. There's a reason that people peak at different times.
Yeah.
There's like, the 5-year-old opera star, the 80-year-old Nobel Prize winner, like we come into ourselves at exactly the right time. Our genetics have a timing sequence, not just for our eyes but it also has a timing sequence for when certain parts develop, but also our greatness has a timing sequence to it and how we evolve into that. And so as we learn and as we grow, we activate more and more until we can hold more and more and be more and more, and we continue
Mm.
on that trail. And I just think this is the best game in town.
It's pretty fun.
Mhm.
It's pretty fun, Megan, to be able to speak to somebody's gifts to this level and be able to show them how to practically implement that into their daily lives and watch their faces go, oh, that's what I've been doing my entire life and I haven't known about it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yet they resonate so strongly with it because they've been doing it for who knows how long, right? Their entire
Mhm.
lives for sure here.
Are you seeing like specific integration pieces for them of like how to implement that into their world?
Sometimes, yeah. Well, actually, a lot of times, yes. I see this primarily in their businesses. Like,
Mm.
here's what you need to do if you want to have more money or if you want to attract more people, use these words. Like it's that clear sometimes. Use this verbiage because this verbiage aligns so closely with your soul and the frequency that when you use these words, people are going to feel that alignment. So I
Mhm.
see it mostly in business, but I've seen it in relationships. And then I've also been shown some places where, and been invited to tell people where they're hiding, right? Like,
Mhm.
here's how you're still trying to protect yourself. And that's okay, right? There's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with that. And if you want to come more into alignment with this, here's what would really serve,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
because I'm talking directly to their soul, I'm finding the messages are more clear than they've ever been for me.
Mhm.
What I typically have done for all these years is I chat with people's spirit guides. And that's great and that's wonderful. And speaking right directly to someone's soul is way more powerful. It's like
Mhm.
removing a third person, right? It's almost like a boom right from their soul. And that has been extremely fun for me. I never
Mhm.
thought to talk to someone's soul. I don't know why until now. I never thought about it, but it's way more direct, way more fun. Yeah,
Mhm.
and they get a lot of practical stuff. So, you mentioned how some of my readings are a lot more practical than a lot of other readers out there that you've been to. And part of that, I think, is because I'm such a sucker for truth. I want the bare bones, nitty gritty truth. How do you implement it into your daily life? Like it doesn't serve us to worry about what's happening off on Jupiter, right? Like, or what I
Mhm.
maybe did in 3 lifetimes ago on Jupiter doesn't help me as much as here's how you can use this in your business today, or here's how you can use this in your relationship today, right?
Mhm.
Here's what's going to up level your income today. If you'll just use these words, I've given some people some pretty incredible stuff that I'm like, holy cow, if you'll do this, you'll be a millionaire. And that
Mhm.
has been so super fun.
Yeah. And that's, I think it's so powerful. I mean, there's a time and a place to study the esoteric for the sake of it.
Absolutely.
I mean, I love that, right?
I do
But
too.
day to day, like I want something that's going to make a difference to me right here, right now, today in my business with my gifts and connecting to the world, right? Like if I were to say like beyond shelter and food, making a difference is probably the biggest, deepest human need. We all came here for purpose. We all came here to give our gifts. And so being about that will make the biggest difference in every area of your life.
Mhm.
Like hands down, you can create more money, better business. You're going to be happier because you're going to have more of your frequency embodied.
Mhm.
And to be able to understand what the frequency is and to be able to direct it a little bit more thoughtfully,
Consciously. Yeah.
consciously is really cool. I mean, I think it's the coolest thing ever. I think everybody should have a reading. And in fact, how can they get a hold of you? What's the best way if they want to have this experience with you?
People can either email me or go on Facebook private message me. That's a great way too to get me. So my email is my name, Marinna Siri at Gmail. So it's pretty easy.
So easy.
And it
Okay,
should be the same on Facebook as well. So you should be able to find me easily that way as well. And they can totally
awesome.
reach out to me. And I want to put this thing in there. I don't want to do a reading for everybody. So don't put that out there for me, Megan. I don't want to do
You
a
know
reading.
I can.
I know you can. That's why I'm saying this.
Whoa, pony.
I want to do a reading for the people who feel really called to it. Because
Right,
those are the ones who I can bless the most,
right.
right? Those are the ones that
Always.
I get to feel like, yes, I was my gift for those people that really want it and feel
Hmm.
called to it because they're ready. They're ready for it.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah, totally get that. So,
Have you ever done work for somebody that comes in like this? Prove it.
yeah, yeah, not
No
fun.
thanks.
Yeah,
Not fun.
yeah,
Not fun. Not
yeah,
interested in proving anything to anybody.
yeah. Those kinds of people I send to therapists.
There you go. There
Yeah,
you go. Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Willing and if this speaks to you, if this conversation sparks something in you, or
Mhm.
even if it scares you a little bit,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes that's like when you're scared, when you're excited, those are go in that direction. That's back to the say yes situation we
Yes.
started with at the beginning.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I really believe I'm going to do a little plug for myself. I'm about to go into my Wild Wealth Circle, which is a free Facebook group that anybody can join. You just have to go to Wild Wealth Circle, and I'm doing a money channeling at right at noon Mountain Time. And it's interesting because in the past, I have just had money do it. But I'm like, I'm looking at all the questions coming in. I'm like, oh, that's really about your relationship with yourself. That's really about um, your get more focused on giving your gifts than on why money isn't there for you. You know, it's like there's what I know is that the money actually came to help us exchange gifts and services.
Mm.
That's why. Like it's we didn't want to carry 4 goats up the hill to get the eggs. Right.
Right.
And he's like, hey, I can make this easy for y'all. So for me, like this kind of a reading is really so helpful to know, oh, like this is the energy that I'm here to give. And then there's a process of really connecting that to money because a lot
Mhm.
of people you probably saw it and probably came up against this in the process we talked about earlier is like it's so easy that
Yes.
people don't want to charge for it. It
Yes.
feels
I
so
have
good. How
bumped up
can I
against that.
possibly charge for something that feels so good? And it's like, that's exactly what you need to charge for. That's what you're here to do. You know?
In fact, what I'm noticing in these readings is that that's what people are paying you for. That yes, you're doing your good, you're giving your goods or your services. yes, you're doing that. But what they're really paying you for is the frequency that you're giving them. That's what they're paying you for.
Mhm. Yep, exactly. So
And
when you
so,
know what that is, and when you're willing
yes,
to embody it and be it, that's when people start finding you and connecting you and like want to pay you. They want to give you something for what you're giving them.
yep.
And
And
it's it
then if you have the words, you can actually speak to that frequency in verbiage, then you're aligning even more with that.
yes,
You
yes,
know
yes.
it, and then it up levels your ability to actually consciously bring that gift to others when you know what the gift is.
Exactly. And through the process, I think you're such a beautiful, safe, loving witness.
Thank you.
And to be able to, because some of the stuff, I mean, some of the magic that we are is weird,
Hmm.
right? It's unique, it's different. Like this little gift that showed up that I can channel money. That's weird, right? But it's like to have somebody just watch and see and reflect with no judgment of
Yeah.
what the gift is. It creates a level of safety to bring it forward. I think a lot of us, when we were little, we had these gifts and they were oftentimes inconvenient for people. Like my magnification was very
Yeah.
inconvenient for people.
Yeah.
Some people's ability to see the truth was inconvenient for their family, and so that's partly why we stuffed some of those gifts down. And if you want to have more of everything, including money and abundance, you've got to unhide. And I think you're one of the best places to unhide gifts
Thank
with,
you.
because there's
Thank
such a
you.
space of receiving that you are and witness that you are that allows people to unhide themselves, unhide their greatness.
Thank you. That's extremely important to me to be able to hold that space. It always has been to hold that space of unconditional love and support while someone's going through all their nitty gritty
Mm.
everythings, And this was just extra fun because I can get to show them their magnificence.
How does it get better than that?
I don't know, but I'm willing to find out.
So, you can find Marinna on Facebook under Marinna Siri, and she's going to post her email on this message thread. We can't see your messages right now because we're on Zoom, but she will answer messages that are
Yep.
directed to her. I'll answer messages directed to me. You can also direct message her. And if you're just you have a slow Monday morning and you want to come play at the money channeling, it's a whole other thing. You just have to ask to be invited in the Wild Wealth Circle. I'll write that in the message thread as well. And any last parting words, Marinna, for that you want to say or you want to express before we complete?
I would love to support people to recognize that yes, while I give you this reflection of your soul, you are also highly, highly intuitive and have that ability within yourself,
Mhm.
right? Yes, you don't need me to tell you. It's nice. It's wonderful to have me share with you, and it's very beneficial. And it's all within us, each of our own selves, right? It's all within us. In fact, I'm even getting ready to start like tidbits and techniques on intuition and
Mm.
just have it be on my Facebook page where maybe every Friday or something, I haven't fully decided yet. I'm going to go on and give people tidbits and ideas. Here's how you connect with yourself enough that you can tune into your own intuitive abilities so that you don't
Beautiful.
have to rely on other people.
That's a great gift. I love
Yes,
that.
I love that.
So follow her, follow me, because it's you actually are able to see more posts when you follow somebody rather than when you're just their friend. So if you want those kind of tidbits and you want more tidbits from me, go ahead and follow us. And
Yeah. Your Wild Wealth Circle tidbits that you and Suzanne are both doing are amazing. Amazing, amazing. Very, again, down to earth, very like, oh, that's how you do that. So thank you,
yeah,
Megan. Yeah.
yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I just believe there's so much out there. Um, I think people are at different levels of being able to invest in themselves, and I just feel like everybody needs a leg up. There is a time and place to invest increasing your capacities and your wealth and seeing
Yes.
how it all works together. But that's why we're doing that group, is to really support people in becoming wealthy. Because to me, like, I want to turn it back to the gifts, which is that if we're not wealthy, we can't fully express all the gifts we came here to express.
Mm.
If you're in
Yep.
scarcity, there's a great deal of your circuitry going to that, and therefore less circuitry in your true frequency and what you're here to be. And also having the resources to fully develop your gifts. And because part of how my magnification works is I have to go to other places. I have to stand on different dirt in different places in the world. And so I need resources for that, right? And it's like
Right.
one of those things is like they work together. Our wealth and our gifts really work together in such a beautiful way. And as we get to express more gifts, the wealth expands, and the wealth expands our gifts, and off we go. That's infinity, right? That's the infinite expansion that we are and that we can be. And we don't have to complicate it, right? It can be really simple, really easeful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was this one little thing I want to say before we wrap up,
Mhm.
that I've noticed doing these readings. I had done maybe, I don't know, 30 of them or something. And I'm like, dang, all these people are so gifted and so amazing. I want to create some sort of a website or some place where we all get together and serve humanity. And then it
Mm.
was like I heard a little whisper, that's called Earth.
Yep.
I'm like,
Yep.
oh
Yep.
yeah, the place has already been created. It's called
Mhm.
Earth. And every single one
Mhm.
of us are freaking powerful and amazing and dynamic and gifted. And we just get to give our gifts to each other and play in that. What an amazing soup to play in.
Mhm. Yep.
Everyone giving their gifts. Can you imagine that world?
Yeah.
Instead of doing a 9 to 5 job, hating every second of it, being miserable,
Mhm.
getting
Yep.
paid to do what you love, doing what lights you up. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, how does it get better than that?
How does it get better? That's awesome. Thank you so much, Marinna, for stopping by
Uh,
the Mostly Makes podcast and speaking to the people. And I'm super excited for how all of this will continue to evolve, because it's you.
mm,
And you will
so much
continue
so.
to evolve it and grow it. So,
Yes. Thank you so
yeah.
much for
And
this opportunity.
again, if it's lighting you up or scaring you, reach out to her. She can be space for both of that.
Yeah, for sure. For
All
sure.
right, you guys.
All
Thank you so
right.
much.
Thank you.
Bye,
Mwah.
Miranda.
Bye.